This morning's breakfast Bible bite deals with the law as our tutor. I'm reading in Psalm 40, verse 8. I delight to do your will, O my God. Your law is within my heart. There is a prophetic nature to this verse because humankind cannot live within the constraints of the law. Therefore, a death penalty was prescribed for each of us, but God takes no delight in the death of humans. Solomon wrote prophetically in Proverbs 8, verse 30 through 31, obviously through the inspiration of the Father Spirit. Then I was beside him as a master workman, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the world, his earth, and having my delight in the sons of men. All of us have felt at one time or another a certain sense of delight in admiring something we have created. Our God is the ultimate creator designer. He has created the earth and all that is within. And this passage shows that side of the Father, the side of Christ, since Christ is our creator, as he rejoices in his creation. The Father's embodied Son is also his delight, the Father's delight, since through Jesus' propitiation it is now possible to separate a reconciled and sanctified, yet free-willed people with whom he can enjoy and spend in eternity. For those in David's day, they got through life by embedding the law of God in their heart. For those of us in the New Covenant period, the law only serves one purpose, that is to demonstrate to all humanity how impossible it is for us in our natural state, apart from Christ's indwelling Spirit, to live up to God's expectation and mandates. The law was given to lead us to Christ that we may be redeemed. So why then should I trouble myself or even bother reading the Old Testament, including the law, since I have already been regenerated through Christ? We do this for the same reason that we study human history. We read the Old Testament to gain an understanding of the New, for Christians to gain a mindset that reacts in every situation in a Christ-like manner. We must learn and understand how we are to discern the difference between good and evil, the principles of the law and justice, jurisdictional authority, and the principles of Christian resistance to the Antichrist lies and satanic influence. Galatians 3:23 through 24 reads, But before faith came, we were kept in custody under the law, being shut up to faith which was later to be revealed. Therefore, the law became our tutor to lead us to Christ so that we may be justified by faith. The historical stories within the Old Testament were written for our learning. For example, we read in Romans 15, verse 4, For whatever was written in earlier times was written for our instruction, so that through the perseverance and encouragement of the Scriptures we might have hope. We can find another sample of this in Hebrews chapter 11 that challenges us with the examples of our Old Testament men and women who were not afraid of the king's commandment and who did not fear the wrath of the king who subdued kingdoms and waxed valiant in fight. Without understanding the fall of men and the feigned sacrificial system to demonstrate the futility of an unwilling blood offering as a payment in full for our sin debt, and that coupled with our own inability to change our inherited rebellious nature, how can we begin to understand the unconditional love that our Creator has for us? The Spirit writes prophetically through the prophet Isaiah in chapter 50 and verses 5 through 7 about Christ's suffering. The sovereign Lord has spoken to me, and I have listened. I have not rebelled or turned away. I offered my back to those who beat me, and my cheeks to those who pulled out my beard. I did not hide my face from mockery and spitting. Because the sovereign Lord helps me, I will not be disgraced. Therefore, I have set my face like a stone, determined to do his will, and I know that I will not be put to shame. Jesus knew the sacrifice that was demanded of him by his own law, yet his love was so strong that he willingly endured the cross and the many abuses that accompanied it. He speaks of it in Luke 12, verse 50. I have a terrible baptism of suffering ahead of me, and I am under a heavy burden until it is accomplished. Jesus took upon himself the Father's wrath against fallen human nature so that we can be restored and reconciled to our Creator. Have you been reconciled?